Good evening. Every week at this time, I shall have the pleasure of being your host. And frequently, when the story permits, I shall have the privilege of playing a leading role. Such is the case tonight. I shall become a man named Gene Walcott, a man in a fog of his own, who met a girl and knew her for one strange night, and in the morning, she was gone. The time, in 30 seconds. The place, the Staten Island Ferry. Sandberg said, the fog comes in on little cat feet. A very perceptive observation. There's something stealthy about fog. It distorts, it conceals, it deadens sound and blurs the outlines of reality. Nothing, of course, can blur the reality of a gun. But we'll see more of this later. Gene Walcott had come to New York for 10 days for a rest. At the end of 7 days, he'd been to all the museums, seen everything on his list, sports and churches, and then he took to riding the ferry boats. That's Gene Walcott down there. About 3 trips to Staten Island was all he could stand. His loneliness began to boil up and choke him from inside. He started looking at faces, every face. He began to feel he had to speak to someone, anyone that had 2 ears, 2 eyes, and a heart. Everybody had a girl except him. Couples. Everybody came by in couples. How did they do it? Why couldn't he? Then he saw a girl alone. She wasn't much, but at least she was alive. I don't suppose you'd have a drink with me. Look, I don't want to be fresh, but couldn't we have a glass of milk in the automat? I know this isn't the right way to introduce myself, but... Miss, could I talk with you, please? It was in his head now. The loneliness was turning into a crazy, shrill pressure building in his head.
Hey, mister, you forgot your prize.
For a while, he thought he'd get a train, start home that night. And of course, now he'd give anything if only he had. But then there had always been some quality in him that made him stick anything out. Even loneliness. Don't be angry and please let me talk. I'm harmless. I'm from New Mexico. I'm a harmless scientist from New Mexico.
Would you please let me out?
I've been a week in New York without a soul to talk to.
You let me out or I'm going to start yelling.
Have a drink with me.
No, I won't.
Look, you'll be safe. We'll go to a place with 1 million people and 1,000 policemen waiting table. You'll be perfectly safe.
Why don't you call a policeman and then we can all 3 go?
Don't be like that.
I'm getting a little bored standing here.
Will you go someplace and let me talk to you?
No, I won't. Now let me out.
I beg you.
Let me out.
I'm very sorry.
You may be a scientist, but you're also a fool. And if you're lonely, that's your own hard luck. Who isn't?
An hour later, all the ache and terrible loneliness had disappeared. It was like getting a wonderful present you never expected.
Penny for your thoughts.
All right, I'll tell you. I was wondering why you came with me like this.
Are you suspicious?
Oh, no. Not suspicious, just wondering.
Maybe I was as lonely as you are.
And as desperate for someone to talk to.
Yes.
Well, weren't you a little worried coming to an empty apartment like this? I mean, no doorman and just a place tucked away in a courtyard?
I was a little worried at first, but you looked honest. You look foolish, but honest.
I suppose you're the type who can always take care of herself.
Not always.
Freshen it up.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I sit on the sofa with you?
It's your sofa.
As a matter of fact, it isn't. It belongs to a friend of mine. He was away and said I could use it. It's a good place to rest. Way back in the courtyard like this, you never hear a soul. Oh. Here's to us. Getting chilly. I'll close the door. By the way, what do we call each other?
My name is Joyce Field.
That's amazing. I knew a Joyce once. She died.
Are you married?
Yes and no.
That means no.
You?
I was.
So that's why you're here. You're on the rebound from someone?
I'm on the rebound. But it's not from a man.
Monster?
No. A cat.
Oh, what?
About 5 days ago, I lost my cat. I went everywhere for him. I quit my job so I could look in the daytime. I went everywhere and I asked everybody. Everybody tried to help. And tonight I found him dead. Well, aren't you going to answer it?
What do you want?
Telegram. Mr. John Carter?
There's no one here by that name.
Hey, wait. This is the right address. You sure there's no John Carter here?
No.